Okay. Before I start, will everybody do myself and yourselves a favor and put your phones away, unless somebody is waiting for a baby to be born or something of that nature. I recommend that you turn it off for an airplane mode and put it away. Give yourself a break for a little bit. Okay. This is what we're going to go. Oh, can we say hello to everybody on Zoom as well? Hi, everybody. This is what we're going to talk about tonight. I'm going to go over just a brief introduction. There are some people that know a little bit about my story, some people that don't, so I won't bore you for too many minutes, but sometimes it helps when you know who it is, the person that you're listening to. We're going to do a little energy management exercise. Talk about how crystals bring about change. A little Wanderlust travel example and the power of crystals and gemstones. What are gem elixirs or gem essences? What's the difference between an essence and an elixir, and how do they benefit us? We will sample the metaphysical properties that they carry. I can tell you how to get Gem Nature Elixirs from me, and then I do have a special product bundle tonight for GLO members. Okay. I think I'm going to hold the energy exercise until the end to make sure that we have time. I want to be mindful of time. We probably will. So generally when I speak, I'm just off the cuff, and just like I was in high school and college, I didn't plan except for the night before, and I just see what comes out of my mouth. That's my girl. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of you can relate. As I was thinking about what I wanted to share and present, I wanted to think about not only keeping myself on track, but also there's different types of learners, right? There's people that hear, they learn through hearing, or audible learners. There's tactile learners, that's why you have stones. And then I wanted you to be able to read exactly what it is that I'm going to talk about. So when we talk about the healing powers of crystals, how do they heal? How do they make us feel better? How do they change our vibration? It's through vibration. Everything vibrates. Everything is energy. It's super simple. We can make it very complex. We can look into things, and the astrophysicists and all of the other physicists out there. But it's really super simple. It's just vibration. All of this is vibration. All of us are vibration. We're just these meat suits rolling around in this journey with our soul, our spirit, our consciousness, whatever you want to call it, that's vibration. So even though we're all made of the same stuff, which is pure energy, we manage to maintain the illusion of separateness. And because of that, we all vibrate at different frequencies. So there are some people that we know in our lives that they bring us up. We're happy when we're around them. If we're feeling sad, if we're feeling down, that's the person we reach out to. Maybe it's by phone, maybe it's in person. We want to receive their vibrational energy, right? And then the opposite is true. There's some people that we're around and they're just draining, and they're vibrating lower, at a lower frequency. It doesn't mean that they're bad. They're just vibrating at a different frequency than we are. So our vibration varies from day to day. It's called moods. It depends on our emotions, it depends on what we're going through and what we put into our bodies, David. How we care for ourselves, how we spend time in our spiritual pursuits and making ourselves better in that space. Our careers, where do we spend the majority of our time, right? At work, working on our businesses. Is that a lower vibration, a lower frequency, or are we vibrating at a high frequency when we're there? People are often quick with mood changes. We're inconsistent in our habits, so our vibrations rise and fall, mood swings. So unlike humans, crystals and nature, they maintain a consistent vibration. And it's because of their crystalline structure. And a couple slides down the road, I'll show you for the science geeks in the room that want to see what that's all about. But it's because of how they're structured, what they're made of. So most of them, vibrate at a relatively high frequency. So when you came up here to choose the crystal to hang out with for the next little bit, raise your hand if you knew which one you wanted right away. And there's no wrong answer or right answer, it just is. And then raise your hand if you spent some time kind of looking and searching and seeing, and did it jump out at you quickly once you spent some time around it? Okay. So with certain crystals that have really high vibrations, so moldavite, which I have moldavite on, yeah, that's a fun one. Phenacite, quartz, selenite. There's a lot of quartz in the room, and this is selenite. Desert rose. Does anybody know about desert rose? Oh, fun. Oh, that's awesome. So they are the same composite structure, selenite and desert rose are. So when we bring these crystals into contact or in proximity to ourselves, we use them to tune in our own vibrations to a higher level. So crystals, like our bodies, have auras and vibrations. So when we interact with them, it affects our vibration. Make sense? So every object in the universe has its own vibrational signature. It's like a thumbprint. In humans, it exists in the form of our subtle bodies. Anybody that's come to see me for a Reiki session, we've probably talked about subtle body. There's our physical body, and then our subtle body that's about 6 inches outside of our physical body. So that includes our chakras, our meridians, and our auras. So the earliest reports of gems' healing properties date back the 4th millennia before Christ. So it's interesting that this is New Age, right? It's not New Age. So it can be found in Sumerian writings and transcriptions from the Indian Vedic texts. And in the Vedic tradition, naturopath medicine, which is known as Ayurveda, Ayur meaning life and Veda meaning wisdom. So in Ayurveda, it describes in detail how to prepare elixirs, and we're going to talk about those and sample those in a little bit, that are made from gemstones. So everybody that isn't familiar with that might be thinking, am I going to crunch on a crystal? Are we chewing on a crystal? You're not. There's no physical matter inside of these. It's the energetic imprint. Let's see what I have here. So in the first Chinese medical book, written 5,000 years ago by Shen Yun, the Red Emperor, there's detailed descriptions of gemstones and their influence on the human body. So this isn't new information, and most of us in the room probably know that. So the stories of healing stones carried through the Bible, the Middle Ages, the Renaissance, and then of course into today. As Einstein and others have proven, that locked within each object in the universe lies some form of energy. So you and everything around you are made up of energy. And this is where humans and crystals intersect. Energy and vibration frequency. 2 years ago this month, I was in India. I was at the Taj Mahal. That's a picture that I took on my phone. The Taj Mahal was completely made of quartzite. They brought quartzite from Brazil to India to make this. So I toured all through it and the buildings that surround it. Inlaid in each space in that building is jade, carnelian, and lapis. And the first thing I thought of when they told me that is, well, no wonder it's so expensive. You guys have it all. So, this, in every part of every corner of the entire Taj Mahal is carnelian, jade, and lapis, embedded in quartzite. This is a building, I can't remember the name of it, that's directly across from it. It's fascinating. It was fascinating to be there. The vibrational experience of being in that center was unbelievable. So if you're somebody that came into that and maybe were vibrating at a lower speed, right, on a bad day, got sick on Indian food, sometimes we can feel out of sync. It can be too much. It can be overwhelming. We can actually feel nauseous from the vibration of crystals, right? So sometimes there's an aversion to them. And it's not that there's bad energy with it, that's my belief. It's that it's vibrating at a frequency that is so far from the space that we are, that we need a little kind of stepping stone to get there. Does that make sense? Many, many years ago, I was at the tail end of going through a divorce, and I went into a local crystal store, and beautiful stones, beautiful crystals. And I walked in, and I was vibrating at such a low speed that I got sick and threw up and had to, not in the store, but had to step out because it was too much for my system to handle. And now I live in a crystal store. So it just goes to show you that when you change your vibration, you can be around different vibrational frequencies. So if you ever get a chance to go to the Taj Mahal, it's pretty incredible. So what are gem essences? Let me think, I'm gonna hand that out now. I'll do that later. I have a little handout that I'll send you all with, so that that has this information in it. But what are they? Is anybody familiar with flower essences? Okay, so just like flower essences, you're not eating any flowers inside of it, you're not ingesting any flowers. It's the vibrational imprint. An essence is one singular gem. An elixir is when there are more than one mixed together. That's the only difference between an essence and elixir. So it's basically interchangeable when you read things or when you're listening to me. So the gifts of the mineral kingdom are structure and stability. Those are things the human community needs, structure and stability. So every mineral is a stable structure that helps anchor the energies of consciousness into physical form. Like, sit with that statement for a minute. Each mineral is a stable structure that helps to anchor the energies of consciousness into physical form. So as our vibration increases, our bodies need support to embody the energetic changes. So when we are on our spiritual path, when we are on our awakening, when we are going through the things that we're going through to navigate life and be on our journeys, our vibration is increasing. And that can be a rocky journey sometimes. So if we neglect the vibrational needs of our bodies, we risk overextending our inner resources. And that creates an imbalance that hinders our ability to integrate change. So what that means is, sometimes we can vibrate at a frequency that is beyond where our physical body is at. So we need the mineral kingdom to help us match that vibration, okay? So this is where gem elixirs play a vital role. Our energy and our body, and our physical body and our energetic body, they need to be in sync. So you know when you feel just off sometimes? Things are just, yeah, we all feel that way, right? We need those to be in sync. And gem elixirs are a beautiful way for that to happen. They provide support system as they help our physical body align with the increasing vibration. So as we are vibrating higher, as we are bringing more goodness into our life, they help our physical body meet that vibrational frequency. So the primary action of gem elixirs is to stabilize and balance the energy field. I'm going to hand out, where did I put one? We're going to do a little sampling. So if you will wait to open these. Many elixirs and tinctures have alcohol in them. Mine do not. My preservative is a glycerin, a vegetable glycerin that is not palm oil. I have a lot of people that come to me that are in some space of sobriety where alcohol is not a part of their life. So I make sure that so they are fine for anybody that's in that space. So I'll start with these. This is cobalite. So I'm sure the question that everybody has is, what's cobalite want to do? What are the energetic properties? Okay. That's the first one. Cobalite is an incredibly special stone. These ones are rollers, so you won't ingest these. This is a roller. These are aquamarine. Need that one? Everybody needs that one. This is chrysocolla. This is chrysocolla. This is chrysocolla. This is an elixir. Did you girls want one? So you can go ahead and open them up. This is chrysocolla. So those of you that have the elixir, you can put 3 or 4 drops. Shake them up. Put 3 or 4 drops under your tongue, in your mouth. You can put it in your water if you want. It'll just taste a little sweet. Again, that's not the crystal properties. That's the preservative. So the action of gem elixirs is direct and immediate. They adjust the inner flow of energy so that we feel grounded and comfortable. So flower essences work with our top chakras, the ethereal realms. Gem elixirs, gem medicine, gem healing energy, that's grounding. Okay? So they complement each other really well. I encourage you to use both in your life, flower essences and gem essences. So, just as the rocks in the soil of this planet provide structure and stability for the growth of the plant kingdom, gem elixirs stabilize and restructure our energy. So believe it or not, that tiny little sample will help do that. They're made from the rocks and the minerals, and they provide a vibrational medicine informed by the crystal structure, okay? So, you can go to the next slide. What is the difference between a rock and a crystal, or a rock and a gemstone? A gemstone or a crystal will be one of these 7 structures. If it doesn't have this repeating pattern, then it's not a crystal. So no matter what the size or the color of that crystal, its structure always remains the same. So for example, jasper, whether it's red jasper, picture jasper, wood grain jasper, it's always going to have a triangular structure. So a lot of times people will ask me, how do I pick them all up, right? You're welcome to just pick the one that you think is pretty. There's nothing wrong with that. There's no wrong way to do it. But a lot of times you might be, maybe purple is your favorite color and you end up leaving with carnelian that's orange, right? So our bodies know. When we get out of our minds, our bodies know what it is that we need. So yes, it was probably some visual selection that happened when you picked the stone to hang out with. But there's something that drew you to that stone, and it's that vibrational medicine. So I'll talk a little bit more about it at the end, but we have, I have a couple different samples, and you will have a couple different offerings, and you will have an opportunity to have any of these made for you if you want. I have 75 different gem essences, and I make custom blends for people that come in for Reiki sessions based on the stones that come through in that session, or somebody can give me a call and say, hey, this is what we're going through. Or somebody can call and say, I love topaz, will you make me one with topaz? So there are 3 different offerings that I have for tonight. And I went into a pretty deep meditation to select what I wanted for GOL this evening. So purify. There's 4 powerful essences that are in this. There's a fireweed flower essence, a sweetgrass flower essence, black tourmaline, and portage glacier that's in Alaska. So So there's water from Portage Glacier in Alaska. Peridot and topaz. Can everybody see the screen? Ish. Okay. I'll have a handout for you in just a minute too, where you can have these. So peridot and topaz. Peridot is the stone of new beginnings. It stabilizes our subtle body and the heart chakra. That helps with new creative projects. It helps us initiate new crystals, new cycles of learning and experience without fear. And then topaz clears energy blockages in the third chakra. That's your throat. Helps us tap into appropriate sources of universal energy, and it strengthens the ability to act decisively from a clear sense of personal identity. And then, one of my favorites, jadeite jade and Montana road crystalite. I'm from Montana, so I'm partial to this one. Jadeite jade is a different form of jade. It has a different composition than the jade that we're used to, or carvings are made of. It's a much lighter tone. So I have an offering tonight. You get a 4-ounce room spray, a 15 milliliter ingestible, the size that I just held up, and then a roller ball for $39. And you can pick whatever combination that you want of the essences that I shared tonight. I'm going to hand this out to you. It'll be a way for you to fill it out if you want to. I'll give them to you in the next few days. Let's do a quick energy exercise. Take one and pass it around. So, some of you that have come into my sessions might have had this conversation with me, but we talk about time management a lot. And I like to focus on energy management. I realized I jumped right into this and I didn't do my introduction. So I've been a business owner here locally for 22 years. I have another business that I own that is very much the type A part of my personality. And prior to 2019, anybody need a pen? Prior to 2019, I had not been out of cell phone service or turned off my cell phone in 7 years. And I was around a lot of creative people. And I found myself saying out loud, I'm not creative. And then I had this really weird internal fight with myself, like, yes, you are, no, you aren't, yes, you are, no, you aren't. And what I realized is that everything was working kids and working kids. And I'm not patient enough to learn to play the guitar as much as I would like to. So I became open and I became curious about how to release my creative gifts that we all have. So we finally went on a family vacation that wasn't to Montana to visit Grandma and Grandpa, and we went to Baja. And for the first 6 days, I turned my phone completely off. No pictures, no texts, no emails, no Google Maps to get around. I had people watch my business, and I finally made a reconnection my priority. And that's exactly what it was. I reconnected with the things that we are supposed to reconnect with. So when we left, I grieved. It was a death. It was a true grieving that happened. And I ugly cried the whole way home on the plane. And I couldn't go into my office. I couldn't function. I went to a coffee shop and kind of just tapped on my laptop. And I texted my husband and I said, hey, are you good if I go back on my own for a while? And he knew better than to say no. So I booked a ticket and I went back like 6 or 7 days later. And that was January 2020. You could go there during COVID. So I went back. Well, I just got back last week again, and I think that was my 12th or 13th time. So while I was there, everything was new. It's the ocean, sea turtles and whales, and we have basically 7 miles of a private beach and an off-grid space. It's the most magical place there is. And of course that was amazing, but after going back and leaving and grieving, and then going back and leaving and grieving, I realized it's not the whales and the cactus and the sand and the ocean. I mean, those are lovely. But really what it is who I am when I'm there. That's what I was missing when I was coming home, because I was leaving a part of myself there. So from an energetic standpoint, I wasn't bringing all of me back. So the reason I share that's where Amalas came into my life. That became my creative outlet. And I bought a ridiculous amount of crystal beads, and it's not the way to start a hobby. And I started listening to mantra, and I would go into this deep meditation, and I just tied knots for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours a day, like 7, 8, 9, 10 hours. And my husband would come up and he's like, "Are you okay?" I don't know. I had a headlamp on in the dark, tying. And people would say, "Hey, you should sell these, or you should do this show, or you should do that show." And I would say, "No, I already have an outlet for business. This is my creative outlet." And then what I realized, when things happen organically, when we're invited, when your gifts are invited to be shared, I almost felt bad not doing it. So when people come in and they have Reiki sessions and they're in a space of wondering what to do next, just be curious, be open. Find the stone that vibrates with your frequency. If something is, "Oh, that one feels weird, I don't know about that," be curious about it. So that's my introduction towards the end. I still have that business, I still do that. I have a real estate business. And real estate and Reiki and malas you think would be really different, they're not. It took me a couple of years to realize how different they're not. But I'm a conduit of information. We're all conduits. Things flow through us, energy flows through us. So I'm a conduit of information over here, and I'm a conduit of information over there. So if you are in a position in life where you feel like, "I have to do this or this, and this is so different than this, and I have to pick," you don't have to pick. They can live in harmony. Not balance. I think balance is a word that is overused, because balance to me is like a teeter-totter. What happens when somebody sits? The other person flies off, right? So balance feels like one or the other. But you can integrate things into your life, and they can live in harmony. How many minutes do I have? 0?
You're almost at a half an hour,
Okay.
and the time's right there.
I didn't look at the beginning though.
You're good.
Okay.
10 more.
I feel like I have a PhD in the University of Hard Knocks. And I have had to learn energy management and time management. And I really kind of throw time management out the wayside. And I have 2 businesses and 3 kids, so if I can do it, anybody can do it. So what we're going to do, draw a circle, a fairly big circle somewhere on the paper. And while you're doing that, I'm going to hand out this kind of things out. So now I want you to make a list somewhere on the outside of that of all the things in your life that take up your energy, that you give energy to. So for instance, it might be something that is also takes up time, having lunch with my mom. But it might be somebody that I don't see, they're not on my calendar, but they occupy a lot of space in my mind, or that issue, that item, that something, right? So there's no wrong answers, there's no right answers, this is for your eyes only. So just make a list, and it can be 2 things, or 20 things, or 200 things of what gets your energy. And you can be as macro or micro as you want.
Good, bad, or otherwise?
Yep, yep.
In the circle, inside the circle?
Outside of the circle, yep. You will be rewriting, I'll give you a hint. You'll be rewriting them inside the circle also, but start with them outside of the circle. if you have children, maybe one of your items on the list is kids. What about your kids? So that one item can turn into, in my case, 300 items. Or work. What about work? Maybe it's worry. What are you worrying about? Give you about 3 more minutes. So as you finish up, you can always add to it later, or do another one on the back. But as you finish up, just look at that list and sit with it for a minute. How does that make you feel when you look at that list? So now, next to each one of those items, you're going to draw a percentage. So remember, you can't have more than 100%. There's no such thing as more than 100% of your energy. No wonder we're exhausted, right?
It's like you
Is this Monday through Friday or include weekends?
Just like all of it, all of the above. So the total is 100%. So next to each one of those items, what percentage out of 100 are you giving your energy to?
Are we supposed to do it what we want it to be or what it currently is?
What it currently is. You can write it right next to it. Right next to it. Feels like some of us are giving 300% of ourselves, right?
Yep.
So now you're going to take each one of those items, and that's okay if you're not done yet, that's okay. But you're going to take each one of those items and you're going to assign a pie, a slice of that pie, based on that percentage. I know this feels like way more math than you guys wanted on a Friday night.
How many lines do you say?
So It's always fun to see who's the perfectionist in the room. The lines have to be perfect. We put a dot in the center, circle the mirror.
It's hard to put percentages like on a dog.
And what percentage of our life are we giving to that item on that list? Is it 2%? Is it 84%?
Yeah.
So in the interest of time, you can keep doing that at home later or keep working on it right now while I talk, that's fine. But find the 2 largest percentages on there. And it's really telling, I encourage you, if you haven't done it already, put that in a pie chart so you can see the visual. It really makes a huge difference. But find the 2 largest numbers on there. My guess is that at least one of those is something that you wish was a lower percentage of your energy, yeah?
A little less, you said?
A little less, yeah, right? It's not usually, we're not usually giving the most of our energy to something that brings us joy. It's just not how that seems to work, right? So, is anybody willing to share what that percentage is of one of the top items?
I'm saying like 40% for me.
So,
Could be higher.
So it's human nature to feel like I gotta just, it's 40% or nothing. I just want that out of my life, or I want it to be like 5%. This is just too much, right? That's probably not possible. But what if you shaved off 4%? That person, is it a person?
It's things for a person.
Okay, so the receiver of that energy probably wouldn't even notice if it was 4%. Probably wouldn't even notice. But you just gained 4% of your energy back. So that's 4%. We could go to something else that's a lower percentage that you wish was higher. Or that's 4% that can be given to something that's on the peripheral that we're not even experiencing right now because there's no room. Because it's all being taken up by that. Does that make sense? So, doing this exercise occasionally is really eye-opening, and like I said, I really do encourage you to put it in the slices. It's an incredible visual, but just take a little bit off of a couple different places, and you'd be surprised how quickly you can get 10% of your energy back. That's a lot. Everything is vibration. So with that, I'm gonna wrap up. I did a handout that is this. Nope, it isn't that. Where is it? It is a list of all of the essences and elixirs that we talked about and their energetic properties. So you can take that home and know if that's something that you like. And then if you do want to take advantage of the bundle tonight, you can just fill that out, and at the end, just drop that off to me. So you don't have to take a lot of time tonight, you can just fill it out. You can put whatever kind of essence you want, whatever kind of combination, if you want all 7 of them in one, have at it. Really quick, any questions for me?
I got a question.
Yeah?
You said the gem essence was grounding. What was the flower essence?
They connect to the ethereal realms. So they're going to be with our upper chakras. The connection to the cosmos. And gem essences are going to connect us to our lower chakras, our sacral chakra, our survival, our sexual center, our creative center, our survival center.
That's flower.
That's gem, yeah.
Can you go back to that one thing where it talks about the trace minerals keeping the energy together?
This.
Yes, the anchor, the energies of consciousness into physical form.
And I know it felt weird. It felt really uncomfortable for me to be reading this rather than just organically
sound
flowing. But I really wanted to be mindful of the words, because words carry energy, and I really, when I was putting this together, I thought, well, I don't want to just do that. I know it's in my mouth. And if anybody wants me to send them any information, just write that down on that second sheet that I gave you. I put your email, there's a spot for your email, so just make a note of that. So I'm always available for questions. I could talk about this for days. That's why I made a slideshow to keep myself on track. So you're welcome to hang on to the stones. For Sasha's presentation, just please put them back before you go home. They are my friends. And I really appreciate you guys coming tonight and listening. And
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
I got my light.
I am like,
This is our first many tries of it.
was it?
Yeah.
One of my favorite.
You were there. I was there.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh thanks. I'm not type A, I'm type Z, so thank you for helping me. Have to help me keep time, because who knows what will happen right now. And Burma and I did not talk about what we were going to talk about, and it's very similar. So as she was talking, I was thinking, wow, this is amazing. I thought she was just talking about crystals, but she's talking about consciousness and frequency and energy, and as am I. So my name's Sasha, Angelina. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about myself to get to know you. The way I work best is if we all connect in here as more community, so you can ask me questions as I'm talking, you can share a story, anything you can do to participate helps me. I'm a projector in human design, if you know human design, so invite me in. Otherwise I get stressed out. So, let's see. In addition to opening Marigolds, Boise, which I'll talk about more later, in 2010, I had a spiritual awakening that was very spontaneous and very scary, which means I just was going to hypnotherapy school. I wanted to help people. I had no real religious background or understanding of anything, didn't know what Reiki was or hypnosis or even meditation. So I met. After that, I just opened up and started having all these crazy experiences. Like could see your energy. I could know what you did that day. I could see your trauma. I could feel your anxiety. I could feel your hopes and your dreams. It was so terrifying that I would often just cry at the end of the day because I had no idea what was going on. And this went on for, 10 years of trying to figure out what's happening. And I had friends who would send me to different teachers, different guides, different psychics, trying to figure out what do I do with this? And at the same time, I started receiving messages. So these messages were about a shift coming into the planet, consciousness, the veil. I often heard the veil is lifting. And I was like, what the hell does that mean? And why me? Why do I need to know this? I'm just trying to live my life. So many years down the road, I'm doing hypnotherapy. I'm receiving these messages. I just think, well, this is happening. I'll just keep writing these things down. And then I started practicing Dolores Canon's QHHT. Do you guys know who Dolores, you do? It looks like it's half and half. Okay, go home and Google Dolores Canon. She's passed away now, but she really opened up a path for a healing type of hypnosis, for people being able to channel. We're all channels. So these people started channeling, but under hypnosis, about their lives, how can they heal, their past lives, future lives, other dimensional lives. And she was a prolific writer, so she writes these 500-page books, and she has a lot of them. And when I first read one of her books, I just went, I resonate with this. This is true. I get it, and I just couldn't stop reading. It was years later that I got certified. So I've been a hypnotherapist since 2010 and got certified in QHHT in, 2020. So it feels like it hasn't been that long. I guess it's been a while. And I've seen a lot of clients since then. So we're gonna actually go through an entire session with a client. A lot of the clients come in because they wanna know, who am I? So that's what I put on the first slide. Who am I? And QHHT is a great way to access your purpose, understand where you've been before you were born here or in this timeline. Where are you on other timelines? And I've learned so much from merging my own channelings to other people now channeling through QHHT. And the reason I chose the client that I'm going to show you, that we're going to walk through, is because she came in, she meditated, but other than that, she really, I wouldn't say she was on a spiritual path. She just kind of wanted to know how to heal some things, what was her purpose, just have an experience. And that's a lot of people. I have men and women, some just normal, living their lives, and then they come in and have these really profound, amazing sessions. A lot of the sessions right now are talking about what's happening on our planet. So there's a shift, as you all know, happening on our planet. My higher self or multidimensional self has been telling me about this since 2010. And now it's becoming mainstream. You go on social media and you get to hear people receiving these messages or talking about consciousness or crystals and frequency. It's so amazing how quickly this is unfolding. So these sessions are really important because I get to interact with different multidimensional beings. We're all multidimensional beings. And I get to talk to them and say, okay, well, what the heck is going on? What do we do? How do we move forward with this? And a lot of the information is the same, which is so fascinating. So when a client comes in for a session, these sessions are 4 to 6 hours. They're really long. I usually have to take 2 days off because it's such an intense, energetic session. There's a lot of frequency that comes into these sessions that are higher frequencies because we're talking to multidimensional beings in usually 4th, 5th, 6th dimension. I'm starting to learn, I think, beyond that, maybe it's harder for them to come into this 3D frequency, but a lot of the beings that come in, because I started to ask, are 4th, 5th, 6th dimensional beings. So a person comes in with a list of questions. Why do I have these parents? What is my purpose in life? I've had this illness, how do I heal it? It can be pages, it can just be a handful of questions. It really depends on the person. So we sit down and we go through every question, we prioritize them all. I listen to their entire life, and everyone is an amazing story. You can never judge anybody. People come in and they tell me the most amazing lives that they've had. So when we go into the hypnosis portion, that's about 2 hours. And it takes a little bit for a person to get in. Some people kind of struggle at first because you're very aware. And that's what's amazing about it. You're aware of what you're saying. You can be like, I don't know why I just said that. That is so weird. And then, but you keep saying it. You just know what to say when I ask the question. And that's the difference between, yes, you can channel. I have been channeling for a really long time, and my QHHT session changed my life because I had a guide there who remembered, okay, you need to know all the answers to these questions. Let's get you focused. Let's keep you on track. And I didn't have to think about what to ask myself. I could just answer her, and it helps the information flow, especially if you are not a channeler or you've never had an experience like that. It can be really strange. So what happens usually is a person will travel through time, and you never know where they're gonna go. They might end up in the past. A lot of people just go into the past within this timeline. Some people go to other planets or other dimensions. So this person, she ended up going to another planet. I won't make you read all of this. But she talks about how beautiful it is. The water's pink, the sky is different. There's these odd structures with antennas for eyeballs. Like, clearly I was thinking, okay, you're definitely on another planet. And then she starts to talk about, I have everyone look at their body, so she doesn't have a body. She's not physical, she's a non-physical being. And she can feel the vibrations of the planet. And this is really cool because on a lot of other planets, this is common through different clients, when they're on like a higher dimension, I guess a more evolved planet, there's a connection between everything, which is where we're going. They can feel and communicate with the crystals, with the planet, with the earth, with the trees, with the water, and it all supports each other. So nature in itself, we know it's healing, but it's really healing. Like another client talked about how if we could get back into nature more and get into the water is so powerful and connected to the trees, connected to all things that we can literally not only heal, but we can access the records of the planet within the water. So you can lay within the water and access the records here of just the history of the planet, which is pretty cool. We're not all doing that yet, but maybe one day. So she goes to this other planet. She's talking about how it heals her, how it's all connected. And then what we do is we have to move forward because I have pages of questions that she wants answers to. So we get her to move forward. And what happens a lot of times in a session is you're hopping timelines. So you're still here and you're present and you're aware that you're you, but also this filter has left and these other frequencies can come in because like Burma was talking about, and as many of you know, we're all frequency. We're just a vibration. So when you channel, what's happening is other frequencies are coming in and you're just translating them. So how I receive a frequency because of my knowledge and my experiences, I may translate it a little different than one of you translating a similar frequency. In fact, I've always wanted to get a group of channelers together and see what happens because it can be really fun. So we're constantly in this space of this session. Yes, we're in 3D, but we're also traveling through our multidimensional selves. And so it's cool because that person is experiencing this at one time, and I get to experience it with them. So we talk more about just her being on the planet. I try to move her forward. And what happens in a QHHT session is often people aren't ready for, I don't want to say the truth, but it kind of, your conscious or your subconscious mind knows you need to create like maybe a cartoon. Or maybe you're not ready to know you're on a UFO. You need to see a pirate ship, which is what she saw. She's like, I'm in space on a pirate ship. Because that's so, it's easier to access than I'm on a UFO with a bunch of aliens. So she was on this pirate ship with creatures. She said, I saw a spider, I think she saw an octopus. But the interesting thing about being in a more hypnotic or channeling state is that you feel the emotions. So she was saying, these are my friends, I know them, I travel around with them, I see them, they support me, and I'm like, well, what are you doing on this ship? And she's just like, it's no big deal, this happens all the time. And it's funny because that's how it is. You're just like, what do you mean? Why are you asking me that? Of course I'm here with my friends, traveling on the pirate ship in space, So, again, I'm trying to move her forward, so she ends up hopping onto another planet. She goes into a life. And this is very interesting because this comes up in a lot of sessions. So maybe there were multiple wars, I'm sure, out in space, but there was definitely one war that happened because it comes through so many people. And she talks about this. She talks about these praying mantis beings came to her planet and they just took over. She said they just wanted to use the planet to lay their eggs or whatever they do. But they were rounding everybody up. And she talks about how she was born into this planet almost like a Christ being. So she was born, she was the leader of the people on this planet. She loved them deeply. She was teaching them these different healing modalities. So I was trying to get out of her, like, how do you do this healing? You know, we want to know that. She didn't give me very much energy because, again, when you're in that state, you're just like, how do you not know this? I mean, everybody knows this. She's like, you just think it and it heals. You just do it, you know? So I couldn't really get a technique, but she was on this planet and basically everyone got eliminated from the planet. And this has happened on a lot of planets. I hear a lot about the praying mantis and the reptilian beings who went and just conquered all these planets. I'm sure some of you have heard of this. Now it's all over social media. It's just so crazy how common this information is out there now. So then what happens is she dies. So that would be the same if we go in a past life. Once they die, then we're like, okay, where are you? What are you? Who are you? What do you look like? I want to know what their soul is. Where do they go when they pass? And she was an angelic type being, which I've learned an angelic type being tends to be just a higher dimensional being. They often don't have a lot of like karmic lives. They have a purpose. So these beings will be very intentional in where they incarnate or where they go to help in order to serve that, like here in humanity. There are clients I've had that are angelic or higher dimensional beings that have come into this life in this planet. I'm sure many of you in this room are here on this planet to help serve this shift that's happening. And that's why this is so important, is because I have so many clients talking about this shift on the planet, how we've been born here to help this shift, but a lot of that is just through our frequency. So you're born with a frequency of love, of peace. That's why you might feel weird growing up and thinking, God, this planet is just, what the hell is going on here? Like, people are insane. It's like a mental hospital here. It's because we have this knowing and this remembrance of being somewhere where it's connected, where we're loving, where we're connected with the planet and each other. And so we come in here really just to bring a frequency. And then within that frequency, we're learning to let go of the conditioning that we've had just by being born into this planet and remember who we truly are. And then do whatever we feel called to do within that. So that was what ended up happening. We go in, we talk about, okay, what's your purpose then? You're this angelic being and now you're here on Earth. So I highlighted some things because I thought they were interesting. Like I said, an angel is a higher dimensional being. She said 12th dimension for her, and that some have never had a karmic cycle. And then I asked her, what does she do as this being? She helps people, very common answer. I help people, I go to help. And then when I asked her just to tell me more about that, she said, I hold a space of love and I help to change the frequency. And that's all that's asked of me. Very common answer with souls that have come here to help. I hold a frequency, I'm just here to help. So then when I try to ask her just more questions about that, who sent her here? So another thing that comes up in these sessions is there's always a Galactic Federation or a council. I used to always think, wow, that is a crazy thing. I don't know if I can believe that. Well, I definitely believe it now. Because so many people will say, there was a council that asked me to come and I agreed to come. They use different terms for it, but it's always a group of beings of some kind. So she says that the Federation is all kinds of beings from all different star systems. They come together for evolution, they help protect the universe, and they're all good. They're all loving, all benevolent. And she's come here because she has gifts that are needed now, which I'm sure, again, is very similar to you. So when I ask her what the gifts are, again, this is a very common answer. Energetics, frequencies, sometimes it's just knowledge of, like crystals is a big one, healing. And you can tap into your multidimensional knowledge by meditating, channeling, QHHT, there's so many ways. Even in Reiki, you can get a session and all of a sudden you'll start having memories or thoughts or your higher self or your guides will start talking to you. You should really listen. This is the time to listen. And so I asked her about what are these frequencies, and she says they're from higher dimensional planes. They're in embodiment and they're being brought here. So frequencies again. I asked her how they work, and so I don't understand this, but maybe somebody in this room would. She said they change fractal patterns, they create new structures, they almost lock in and add to the structure like building Legos, but much more difficult. So in our 3D, we don't really have the language to describe what we're really doing here or what we can do on a multidimensional level. So that's her trying to describe what's happening, and to me it sounds like she's shifting structures, but we all do different things. So we're not all the same. We all have different talents, different gifts, different planets we've been on, different beings that can do different things. Some are really into technology. So then she talks again about how the Earth's in trouble, again, very common, it affects the whole galaxy. This is something I always ask, like, why do you care because these beings will describe themselves as we're your future, we're a future timeline, or we're in a different space. And so I'm always like, well, why do you care then? But they say it affects all timelines, all galaxies, that this is a very important time for this planet, and so that's why they're all involved. So the frequencies are heavy, the density is heavy, the planet is having trouble shifting, is what she said. She said, Mother Earth is having trouble shifting. I'm here to help and to support. And I said, how do we do that? She said, it's already happening, and that she's supported, just like we all are. But she also said, I have to wake people up. I have to make everything lighter. So this is really important, and I'm hoping that this will inspire you all of you who feel called to love, feel called to serve, feel called to create community, because it's needed. And we're trying to shift out of this 3D, which is, separateness. It's me, it's I, it's how does this serve me? How do I feed my family? How do I take care of my responsibilities? And then we forget the we, and what do we love, and what is our passion, and what lights us up, and how do we connect, and how do we support each other. I'm trying to build a community as well, and I'm noticing even as healers, we still have a lot of I thinking. So we're here to make this shift, which is which she just keeps talking about. She says if the planet is going, so if we don't help humanity, people can die, basically. And that's come through a lot of sessions. A lot of people can die. There can be a lot more suffering. There can be natural disasters. So we're just here for different reasons, but to help the planet shift and humanity shift. So I took out some of her personal questions. But she was able to then start channeling more information, and this is important to understand because we're all channelers. So I hear people saying, I'm a channeler, I'm a psychic, I'm a healer, and essentially we all are. We all receive frequencies, we all are frequencies. And one of the questions I asked her was, I have a lot of souls born here to help, and she said there's so many, and that's what everybody says. There's millions of souls here to help right now, bringing in new frequencies. We're all kind of doing the same, and yet we're living separately. So I just asked her some questions about her soul, and then we go into then starting to really channel the guidance. And this guidance is really beautiful for all of us, and it always is. The guidance that comes from our multidimensional self it's always for all. It's very rarely, again, in the I. So she was asking a lot about, but I'm suffering so much here. And we are so sensitive that we feel everything, and it's very purposeful. Because if we didn't feel all that, if we didn't see that there was something that needed to be changed, then we wouldn't change it, right? So the people here with that purpose, we tend to feel that suffering very intensely. Like, I can read bad news on the news and I can be destroyed because I can feel the suffering so intensely through space and through time. It's just crazy. So they said the more that is allowed and surrendered, the quicker and the easier. Much, much easier to change and to transform. There's no timeline. So we can work within timelines. We can work with ourselves in the past. We can work with our future self. We can work with our multidimensional self. Like, there's so much that we can tap into and do in order to let go. And that's a big message right now through not only these sessions, but my own channelings is this is a year to surrender. This is a year to let go. This is a year to really change, step away from that which is toxic and no longer serving you, because that's the 3D matrix. And if we want to move into a better world, in a world where there's less suffering, we have to do that. We're on the front lines. So we have to start doing things differently. We have to show others that it can be done. And when I tell you how my new business is set up, most people are like, you're crazy. How are you going to do that? And I just know I am. So, so it's transmuting shadow, that shadow work through acceptance and allowing, no more judgment, no more judging. And that's through each other, judging how we express ourselves, judging the path we're on, judging our beliefs. I know internally I'm constantly catching myself just judging, and then I have to let go, and just be and just allow whatever is happening. And that's where beauty is. That's where the power in ourselves is. We are incredibly disempowered on our planet right now. And a lot of that just has to do with the system we live in of we have to pay our bills and we have to go to work and we have to do all these things, just like Burma was talking about the circle. Where is your passion? Where is your love? Where is your joy? That should be the primary. That's not lazy, and that's not bad. You're not airy-fairy if you love and enjoy life. We should love and enjoy life and love and enjoy each other. So that's what this is sort of saying. It's like, just have the experience and do that shadow work to let go. And she had some experiences with beings before that she just kind of ignored. But I want to read this to you because it's very profound. So I asked if there's anything else she needed to know, and they said, you're more powerful than you are aware of. And if you really open your heart and you hear this, you are more powerful than you are aware of. You need to stop shrinking your power. We see you stepping into it more and more. You're on your way, but you cannot care about what others think. That's part of the plan of holding you back. The more you accept your powers or how powerful you are, the more you give permission for others to accept theirs. We have to do it. Stop shrinking. You don't have time for that. You're not too much. Stop worrying about that. It's none of your business what people think. And it's none of your business or to determine whether someone can handle your information. So she always said, oh, people think I'm too much. That's not for you to be concerned with. Boundaries are important, and you've done so well, but this will continue, and never be afraid. And when it is time to establish your boundaries, remember your goddess, warrior energy, or your god, warrior energy, your divine energy. There's nothing to fear. Very powerful. And again, these types of messages are coming through just everyday people. This actually terrified her. She called me and she said, you need to put a warning label on these sessions. Like, that was a lot. I don't even know how to process this. Because in her session, she was also guided to how she could teach people the energy she could use, how she would shift people's energy. And she's not doing it yet. And I think it's been about a year. Because it's scary. You're changing your identity when you start to do this work. You start to believe you're much more than what we've been told. You start to believe you have these abilities that people tell you are demonized or bad. And that's really who we are. We're amazing, we're powerful, we're multidimensional, we're all channelers, we're all psychic, we're all healers, and we're all connected. And that is the biggest theme. I love Nikki and what she's doing, because the biggest thing is you can't do it alone anymore. If you're trying to do it alone, you're gonna fail. This is old paradigm. We're breaking down this old paradigm, so we need to come together and do it together and have that constantly in our thinking. How do I serve? How do I give? How do we support? How do we come together? How do we do this with joy and love and not have it be, oh my God, that person is, I don't want to work with them, or you know, like, I don't like people. Like, these are such old beliefs. I realized since I was a child, I've been receiving the frequencies all around me. And I was told when I started getting into these spiritual groups, oh, you gotta protect yourself more, you gotta ground, it's just all the negative energy, oh, you probably have entity attachments. So much negativity and so much fear, and it's none of that. And what does that do but shut us down? No, me, protect me. Keep me safe. Oh my gosh, you guys are all bad. I don't want your energy, keep it to yourself. It's not true at all. We're all channel love, and we're all connected, and we're all super special. So the only way to really know that is to connect. When you look at somebody, just love them. You know, gaze at them. Our gaze is very powerful, very powerful. And that's why I get anxiety when I sit down at first, because you're gazing at me. So I feel you come in these waves, and I'm like, oh my God, don't look at me. Let's meditate, let's close our eyes. So it's probably why I love channeling, because everybody closes their eyes. And that's the end. I'm hopeful that this is a reminder to you that you are powerful, and to do whatever you need to do to step into that power and affirm it. I am powerful, I am smart, I am loved, I am beautiful, I am a badass, whatever, right?
Oh.
Yeah. And then have others around you who affirm it as well, because that's where we need to be, is confident in our love and our power. Love is superpower, so amazing. And that's it.
A message?
Do I have time? Yeah. You want a message? How much time do I have?
5 to minutes?
Okay. Yeah.
You could do that.
Yeah, we can do that. I'm gonna ask everybody to just close their eyes. And again, I'm just receiving a frequency. And when we're in a group like this, I get to receive the frequency from all of us, from all our hearts. So first thing to do, I say whenever we're accessing our superpower, the first thing we do is just get into our heart. The heart is a very sacred space, and there's many written messages about the sacredness and the power of the heart. So as you focus in your heart, you just focus on expanding it, opening it, feeling that love, whatever that may be. And then feel that love just radiate out. Feel its power, feel how strong it is. Feel it support this space. And all of us feel it lifting you up. And the message for tonight is just really aligned with everything that was said. It was just let go. Think of one thing in your life that's been holding you down, that is an anchor and a chain, and just let it go. And when you let go, you're able to step forward into your power and your path, into that love a little further. You begin to allow, you remove any blocks. Because the truth is, you're always in the flow, and your higher self, your multidimensional being, is always moving you forward towards the best, towards the brightest, towards the most fulfilling, towards laughter and joy and magic and synchronicities. You're always being pushed in that direction. What stops it is you. Allowing these anchors, allowing these beliefs, allowing the psychology that limits you from accessing your true joy, your true love, your true ability. And now is the time to step forward, let go, and be who you already are. Allow yourself to just be. If you could do anything in your day, one of the most powerful things you can do is sit in your beingness. That means sitting in a peaceful state, feeling yourself, allowing every thought, allowing every feeling. It matters not if you feel love or anger or frustration, but feel it. Allow it to be you. Because you are amazing and you are here for a purpose. You are here to love in every expression. You are here to express the creator, the goddess, the God through your being, and to show others that it can be that easy and that simple when we just let go and release.